A good afternoon, everybody. We got the newsletter for week 6 coming a little bit late. Again, my sincere apologies for last week. As you guys all know, I'm on vacation in Istanbul, formerly known as Constantinople. And so we're going to do things a little bit different this time. I didn't have the bandwidth, so to speak, to do a written newsletter, so I'm going to be going through some of the teams here, some of the matchups, and giving you some of my comments, a couple giggles throughout the way. So let's kick things off. Matchup number 1, and this is a big matchup, and not just because I'm in it, but we got the Bus Boys going against Red Bandit here. As of right now, projection 111 Bus Boys, 130 Red Bandit. As you guys know, partly due to the New England Patriots defense. So I'm gonna have to say this week, I think Red Bandits are gonna clearly take this week. It's difficult when you have a defense scoring as much or more than most quarterback ones. Fun fact about the New England Patriots, someone might have to stat check me on this. They're the #1 scoring player this year in fantasy football, which is just ridiculous. Includes quarterbacks, running backs, and the whole lot. Keys to this game, we have Melvin Gordon coming back. Is he even good anymore? I don't think anyone even knows about that. When you look through Red Bandit's team, they're surprisingly overrated. It's actually not a good team. Like Michael Gallup, wide receiver 2. His running backs are fairly good. I love my man Harrison Butker, great kicker. Pretty overrated team. Still think he's going to take the win. Red Bandits by about 20. Game number 2. Martin Island against the Chosen People. If both teams could lose, that obviously would be the ideal outcome in this particular one. Fun fact, these teams, when you look at them, so Martin's team obviously looks much worse than the Chosen People's, but neither team is very good. I mean, I think on paper, Chosen People look like they should have been a lot better than they really were. I mean, Adam Thielen, Hopkins, Deshaun Watson. I mean, this team looks like it could have been stacked, but isn't really doing as well as everyone thought it should do. Now, I think a fun little fact here is about the Lamar Jackson gate. I'd be interested to find out how many people received a text message proposing some type of offer for Lamar Jackson. Obviously, the Chosen People are trying to pawn him off like an old busted up car with Tootsie Rolls melted in the back seat. Obviously, he wasn't able to make any trades, so we're going to let him sit on 2 quarterbacks, similar to what Guile did, until he has to drop one, and then we pick him up off the waivers like I did with Russell Wilson. In this game, I think we're going to go with the Chosen People by 10. It's going to be a close one. You know, right now he's projected to win by 27 because Martin hasn't started his lineup fully. We have an empty spot at tight end. Maybe that is the full lineup. Wow. Okay. Maybe this actually is if this is the full lineup, then yeah, Martin's losing this one in an absolute jackhammering. Next game, Bottle Service versus Sex Money Murder. Again, I mean, these are 2 teams that, I mean, you want to pull for them. These aren't very good teams. These are not very good teams. Bottle Service might arguably be the worst team we've ever seen in this league. I think the stats will probably say as much. Besides Chris Carson, I mean, this team is brutal. Joe Mixon obviously underperforming this season. His bench is deep, but not enough starting power to take down the big dogs. Sex Money Murder here again. I think the big key player for the game is going to be Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City. We'll see how that shakes out. Hasn't had a lot of time to mesh and gel with the team. We're going to see if he can return to old form, little Speedy Gonzalez, and rip off a few home run hits. Sex Money Murder winning this one by 25 points. Let's make it 35 points. Next game, Boogie Lowensteins versus South Bay Bra. I mean, at this point, I think everyone is rooting for the team that goes against Boogie Lowenstein. This team that he's assembled is just, it's a joke. I mean, we'll go to my notes here, my comprehensive notes. Boogie Lowenstein, we have Jesus. That's the only note I put down for Boogie Lowenstein's team. I mean, top to bottom, it's absolutely stacked. I believe he has 3 of the top 12 running backs, which is just insane. His flex, obviously Adam Jones just dropping a 40 bomb last week. Amari Cooper ripping things up. I mean, when your worst running back is Zeke, then your team is absolutely stacked. Interestingly enough, also has pretty good tight end play. We got the Disley, Andrews combo. I like what's going on in Baltimore. Even with Chicago on the bye and still slotted in for the starting lineup, and even with an empty second spot at his second wide receiver, I think Boogie Lowenstein is going to pull this one out. Now, South Bay Brawl, I think there's a lot to talk about here. Primarily, I think we should address the trade. Some people came off. I think the reason why I think the trade between me and South Bay Brawl was a fair one is because I immediately got text messages from people saying that I was trade raped and that I trade raped. So obviously, what does that tell you? Now, interestingly enough, I think that kind of the players that were added in is kind of the secondary collateral to the trade. In this case, from my side of the trade, was trading in Pierre Lindsay, as Kara calls him. Adding in Philip Lindsay into the trade was supposed to be just kind of like a little sugar on top of the wheat pie, but Philip Lindsay looks like he could be chugging and rolling into RB1 status. While meanwhile, on the other side of the trade, Odell Beckham is just trash. Just trash. I don't know what to say at this point. The Cleveland Brownies have a serious problem. Baker Mayfield. I used to root for Baker, obviously, last year, having him on my squad. He's just worthless. I mean, he's a piece of trash. The way he talked about Danny Dimes, it's not acceptable. I'm pissed off about it. We're writing them off. Because of that reason, we got no balls going to Odell Beckham. The team's going to lose. Boogie Lowenstein's by 40. Next game. King Cobras versus Girls Gone Wild. I mean, please, just let this game be won by King Cobras having stellar defense or kicking play and having the exact opposite happen to Giles. It's just so funny. It is just so funny. I mean, Giles' entire season has been shaped, obviously, by what you can call special teams gate, defense gate, kicker gate. I mean, this strategy is one that was born in some test tube somewhere of some lowly blog, some guy who thought that it might make sense statistically to never start a defense. I mean, if you look back at the first couple games, Giles may actually be undefeated if he just played like a normal human being and started a defense and a kicker. Even more funny was the week that he did finally break after acquiescing and deciding to roll with a defense. His defense dropped -1. That was great. This week, he's not starting a defense and is starting a gay kicker, so that should be fun. We'll see how that turns out for him. Interesting fact, Tampa Bay always has absolute trash kickers. We've seen them. They shank balls, they miss balls, they get balls blocked in big plays. So we'll see how that works out for him. Girls Gone Wild, I think it's an interesting team, still a lot of power, a lot of weapons. He picked up Landry. I can't believe that Darby dropped Landry. Horrible move. Landry is a very viable RB2, wide receiver 2. Interesting enough here, I think that Patrick Mahomes, I just don't know if he's living up to the hype of what happened last year. You know, you're coming off the MVP season. He's doing all right, but a lot of quarterbacks out there are doing all right. And I think Minshew's probably better than him at this point, statistically, these past couple games. Now, the keys to the game here, I'd be remiss not to come back to this old fella. King Cobra is starting Adrian Peterson. I mean, this is like the gift that just keeps giving. Adrian Peterson, literally, when you watch him out there just galloping, it's just not right. The guy is 43 years old, galloping like he's 23. Look for him to have a huge game in Washington against the garbage, bananas, shit ball Miami defense. Cobra is going to win this thing by 3 points, and Giles can have his kicker miss 2 kicks, that will be the deciding points in that game. Next game, Suck My Dicky against Ball Brigade. Ball Brigade has a really good team. I mean, if it's one thing we've seen is my division this year is just a joke. I mean, every team is stacked. It's fun getting to play each of them twice. Obviously, Ball Brigade's team is heavily leveraged to the Patriots. I'm a little frustrated. He's already starting off with Tom Brady, who has 21 points to start the week from Thursday night. He had honestly, a trash game if you look at it. 2 rushing touchdowns on the 6-inch line. Both of those, Sony Michel was in, cocked, locked, ready to rock. And then they had a 47-year-old quarterback take a dive right down the middle. Don't agree with the play calls, don't like what they did there, but he scratched out 21 points somehow. Looking at this game, I think Suck My Dicky, though, has the power across the board on his team to really pull this one out. He picked up some of my trash, Will Fuller. Don't like that at flex. Aaron Rodgers, wow, whatever happened to him? I mean, that guy used to be good. Nowadays, you need some of the young guns starting in a quarterback. It's not going to do. Eckler, again, who knows what's going to happen with Eckler now that we have Melvin Gordon coming back. I don't know if he's still going to be one of the top 5 premier running backs from a point standpoint. Despite all that, I think Suck My Dicky wins here by 5 points. So, I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Thanks, everyone, for another great newsletter. I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone have a wonderful week. I look forward to the rest of the season. If it's one thing I will say, let's just take a moment here to look at my team from a scoring standpoint. I would argue, let's get it in there. I would argue that this is the best 2-3 team ever created. We get it, zoom in there. We have the number 1 quarterback, number 5 running back, number 5 wide receiver. On my bench, we have a top 12 running back sitting down there. Top 3 tight end, 2 top 10 defense, top 10 kicker. I mean, this team, the fact that this team is 2-3 is an absolute travesty. We'll leave it at that. Thanks, everyone. Have a great time. Peace. Love. I'm out.